Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Ascension Roundtable and a conversation with my psychic friends. We are discussing fun. Are you putting fun as a priority? Kimberly will be joining us later, and we are going to deep dive in the subject. Nikki cannot make our roundtable discussion this Sunday, but she said she might be able to pop in. So I'm so excited that you are here joining this discussion because I know a lot of you say that you are putting fun as a focus, but I'm not quite sure around that. And of course, you can always ask questions and be part of the conversation if you want to ask questions. Why is having fun so important on the spirit side? And hopefully we will cover that in this discussion. My name is Isabelle Zimmerman. I'm with Attracting Wisdom, and my friend Max is with me. Max, say hello.
Hello everyone and welcome. I'm very happy to be with you. Well, I'm having fun having here with you tonight. Well, it's tonight for me. Breakfast with Max. You can go and check on my website, samethings.com. And yes. Here we are.
So you are in Spain. So you had scheduled some fun, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Sun.
And tell us a little bit, where are you in Spain?
So I am in Spain. It's near Alicante. It's in on the Mediterranean side. Well, yes, Mediterranean side, because there is also the Atlantic side, but this is the Mediterranean side, and southeast, a lot of sun, and south of Alicante, near Murcia, Mar Menor. There's a little space here where there is a sea in the sea, so it's
really
it enters the land. There is a little space where the sea enters, and it's called Mar Menor, and it's very quiet, very good for families, because you can leave your children in the sea and it's quiet.
Wow.
And you can just stay there watching them because it's not too deep.
Yeah.
And so that's very good, right? It's the beach, and you're there, and the children can go, and well, always an eyes on your children. Don't leave them alone. But there is this sea, and it's near here, and it's a very, very good place to be, with a lot of sun.
Wow.
It's so sunny, nearly like Florida. Not just as much, but nearly.
Really? So that is so cool that the sea is within the land. I don't know anything about Spain myself. And the food is Mediterranean, so is it like rice and fish and...
So they have a lot of the local thing is paella, and they they have a lot of rice. They have these things with the rice, and then they have with seafood, or with many other things that you can do at it. It's fantastic, right? It's very, very good. And they have the tortilla. The tortilla is potato and eggs, and it's round, high, something like
Uh-huh.
this. It depends on how you do it, and it's very good too. And these are let's say the national dishes that everyone knows. And obviously there is a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Fish. There is a lot of fish.
Yeah. Wow.
Seafood. It's yeah. I mean, it's the Mediterranean coast, so
So
there's a
Spirit is
lot.
here. Spirit just popped in, and they would like me to mention that Max just recently got let go from his job. And a lot of you would have panicked because Max had planned this vacation and he still decided to go and not worry about the future and embrace having fun. Even though it was a little unstable for him to go on vacation, losing his steady paycheck per se, he said it's okay. And he still pursued going on vacation. And so a lot of you might be able to do that, and some of you would panic and cancel your trip because you're stepping into
Yeah.
the unknown.
Well, you see, it's the thing is, well, there are many things. One is in my country, we have 2 full months we're still paid. So you give notice at the end of 1 month for the next two. So you have basically nearly 3 months. So there's that. Can be right. It depends, but it's already a very good thing. And then there is the fact that, well, why give why give in the panic when especially when you know, right, that you are taking care of everything. So it's a very difficult exercise, to be honest, right? Because it's still, you know, it from the spiritual point of view, you know that everything is taken care of, but then from the point of view of the human, you still have to practice it, right? To have the physicality of it manifested. So however, at the same moment, right now, let's have fun but be serious at the same moment, right? You cannot do this self-awareness thing and then just go into panic, right? You come to a point where you're able to take in whatever comes your way and work with it and go with it, right? The reality is happening anyway. I knew I was going to leave the job. Well, I was fired, but I was not fired. I've left the job. This is the reality of creation. I left the job. The way I left the job is firing. I could have left it in any other way, right? That's how it happened, because I just let go and allow it to happen the way it happened. I could have managed it. I decided not to, because that's how you allow creation to happen, right? So I let it happen this way. And so now I will be a hypocrite if I was here in fear or scared or just absolutely unaware of it. I'm not.
Right,
So
because you're a college graduate. So Max and I, we would say we're college graduates. So just imagine you coming to our college and you're a freshman. And I say, hey, welcome, Jim. Welcome to our college. And I just want to let you know, don't eat the eggs at the mess hall because they taste like plastic. Definitely go for the bagels. Definitely buy some flip-flops and get some earplugs, right? So we're just giving you that kind of practical advice. And a lot of my light workers are coming to these conversations to talk to the seniors in college to find out what's going on and how to navigate. And one of the things that I see with my freshmen in college is that, you know, how many hours do you focus on having fun during the day? And I'm going to tell you, it's probably maybe 1 or 2 hours a week or a few hours a month, in your day. And I use the word fun, but it can be enjoyment. Do you take time out of your day to enjoy listening to the radio or enjoying your cup of coffee? It doesn't have to be like something scheduled, but it can be something simple about really embracing that cup of coffee and smelling it, tasting it, having a moment of peace while you're drinking that cup of coffee. And then do you incorporate little bits of fun throughout your day? You can even incorporate fun at work. So a lot of us work and you have a lot of tasks ahead of you, but you can say, what's more fun for me? Is this task more fun, or should I start this project? And even both has to get done. You're tuning into your vibration, you're tuning into your feelings, and you're practicing following inspiration for fun in your everyday mundane life. And that's really what Spirit would like us to discuss here on this panel, is incorporating fun and enjoyment in small ways and big ways. Because it's funny, but we are really in the land of no. We tell ourselves no all the time. We don't believe in our own power. We don't believe in our own creativity. There's a lot of things tied to not having fun and enjoyment. There's worthiness issues. I have to be responsible. I'm responsible for others. There's beliefs that if I don't do it, it won't get done right. There's a lot to unpack in here.
Yes.
But fun is very important, because if you tune into your emotions, that's wonderful that you're practicing that, because a lot of us, we don't tune into our vibration. We just feel overwhelmed by our vibration or overwhelmed by a feeling, and then we pay attention. We're not tuning into it before. We are tuning into it when it hits us over the head, And so this is a backdoor way for me to train you guys. It's a gentle way.
And right, absolutely. And right, it's things gonna happen anyway, right? Reality happens anyway. We even do not need to manage, as I said, right? It's gonna happen anyway. And the thing about is that when it happens, you still have a choice. Whatever happens, right? You can choose to just be a victim of the situation, right? Take it in and oh, fuck. Or you can simply allow it happen and then go with it, right? Just go into the allowance and when whatever choice you do, it's always correct. Here we are not going into this is the best way or not, or you have to do this because if you don't do, no, it's whatever you choose, whatever, it's absolutely perfect, absolutely correct. Now, however, we can go into saying that you can choose differently, right? You can choose, you have a choice that it's always there for you. And that choice is to say, all right, this just happened. Now, am I going just to be the victim? So be just the one that is taken by the experience and unable to to do anything with it, right? It's simply you are in it, and you are unaware of the self, unaware of you, so you are not having fun. You're just there, crushed by it, totally crushed, and feeling so bad, and wishing it didn't happen. And if I had done this wouldn't have happened, and I could just do that, or right, these kind of things. And is it helpful?
So
No.
so I'll just tell you, Spirit, I've been having some manifestation events, and manifestation events are when I feel guilty, shame, blame, or just a low vibration. And I had 2 events back to back. And when I have 2 events back to back, I know to pay attention because it's a pattern, right? And one of the big things for me that I'm personally working on is responsibility. So I have a very strong belief that I'm responsible for others. And that is tied to not only being responsible for others, but doing enough, being enough. It's also it's linked to I'm not enough. So when somebody says I let them down, or I disappointed them, or I wasn't for them, it's deep for me. It's very deep, and I'm very sad, and I cry because I don't want to hurt anyone, and they're hurt. And so then the blame and shame emotions come up, and I sit in it now because you got me as a college graduate. I sit in those emotions instead of doing a spiritual bypass, like, oh, it's all for me and everything is great, la-di-da-di-da. I go ahead and I feel that uncomfortableness. I allow myself to cry now, and then I process, and I feel it. And yes, it's great that I can channel and I can talk to spirit, but there's a very strong belief that's not only in this lifetime that I'm responsible for others because I'm a light worker. So right now they're discussing being responsible and being in service. And being in service is actually in the love frequency. And being responsible, I'm responsible for my emotions and my vibration, but I am not responsible for another's emotions, their vibration, or even life. And that is really hard as a parent, to not feel like you're not responsible for your kids' lives. And so I'm working through it, and I was in it, and they said, Isabelle, you were choosing fun. You were choosing fun when you hurt your girlfriend's feeling, and you were choosing yourself. And that was rare for you because you always put others people's needs in front of you. So can you imagine my surprise that spirit is saying that I was doing great, even though my friend was hurt? It was so counterintuitive.
But was she her or her?
Well, she
what your
said
friend
so.
really hurt?
Yeah.
But was she?
No, it all worked out. Thank you, Max. You're absolutely right. So she perceived that I let her down, but you're right. She was safe. It all worked out. She got home. It was perfect, but I let her down, and that crushed me. Personally, that crushed me because I love her. But it's very counterintuitive. So like sometimes when you choose to have fun or choose to enjoy something, it's counterintuitive to choose yourself first, because we've been taught that you're selfish.
Yeah.
You're not thinking of another.
Exactly. You're selfish.
You're selfish.
Yeah. However, can we be selfish? No.
No, because we're gods.
It's exactly.
Does gods need protecting? No.
No.
But because this is so weird, but because when she when she asked me to be responsible, or I let her down, right? Immediately I put her in a victim mode, not on purpose, but now I'm in that paradigm.
My sister has in all of her life had a very tough situation, and I was seeing her as one that is always in some kind of messing it up, her life, everything, and all of that. And we didn't speak for nearly 30 years. Really, we saw each other sometimes, but not really. And then a couple of weeks ago, I called her and I said to her, well, look, I didn't want to have anything to do with you all these years because our stepmother said this to me and I saw you as the perpetrator against me. So I just didn't want, and she said, I don't know what you're talking about. She had no idea.
Yeah.
And then so we met, and as I was there with her, I always had this idea of her, of this victim, of this fucked up person. And as I was there with her, I just realized she's not. My perception of her was, yeah, but then with all the experiences that she have had, I was there, but she's still here. Whatever my perception of her may be, I realize she's a god, a goddess, and she's taking care of herself. Doesn't need my pity, my help. Yes, she was there nearly crying and telling me that she missed me and right, all of that. And I realized she's trying to create a dependency here, but clearly she doesn't need me. It was humbling at the same moment because I was admitting that I can help her, but she doesn't need that.
That's you.
And that if she were to be in need of my help, she will tell me or give me the sign that, right, that she is in need of that. But otherwise, she's got it. Even if my perception is that, right, she had problems with drugs addiction or whatever, eating disorders, yeah, all of that, yes, right. And then she's having her own experiences and she's doing it.
So Kimberly just joined us. But Kimberly, before you introduce yourself and stuff like that, the one point that I want to make, Max, you're absolutely right. When you let go of being the hero for your sister, you allowed more joy to enter in that relationship.
Yes.
So that's counterintuitive, right? Because we think like joy is being present, and it is. Joy is being present, but it's also letting go of beliefs and attachments to allow more joy and fun.
Believing that you are there responsible to pick them up, lift them up, and make their life better. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're simply not, right?
Yeah.
They are gods. You see yourself as a creator god? Well, they are too.
They are. Wonderful. All right. So Kimberly has joined us. Hello, Kimberly. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me on again. How is everybody?
Very good. Guys. Very good. We're talking about fun, putting fun as a priority and why we do not put fun as a priority.
Yes, well, we have been conditioned that we must make, we plan our goals, we strive forwards, we work, we look at abundance as a priority above everything else. But, if we're in a state of joy, aligned to joy, that's actually the frequency of abundance. It's just a counterintuitive way people believe, we have different conditioned ideas around, work, what it is to make abundance. So, fun and abundance, I think there is a link there, but it doesn't seem to be a link there. It seems to be a whole separate thing. But, and the whole thing, I know you guys were talking about, the concept of having fun and what is selfishness. And, just having fun. It's finding the joy, finding the passion. And it's basically everything that you do. If you can come from a point of heart-centeredness, of love, then you'll know that whatever happens is always going to be for the highest good of all. So when you have fun, when you experience joy, it's about asking yourself, are you coming from a place from heart-centeredness, from a point of love? And this could be love for yourself, love for others, but love. And sometimes we might be confused as to, are we acting out of fear or maybe out of control? So the whole thing, like again, around selfishness, I guess there are different types. Like, are you doing it out of fear? Are you doing it, out of ego, doing it out of control, for instance? Or are you doing it because this is fun for you? Are you doing an action because it resonates? And there's a difference here. Sometimes it could be subtle, So if you live more in the present moment, that's when you know if the actions that you're inspired to take is out of love or out of fear. So, control is an aspect of fear, but sometimes it can be very subtle. So you might be thinking like, oh, it's something I want to do, but are you really wanting to do it? Or is it out of like ego, out of control, out of fear? So sometimes it is very subtle, but as you do this work, you become, more fine-tuned to the frequency. And like so many of us, it's, we think we live in like a society where, money pays the bills and so forth. And, and that seems to be a priority for many of us. But, work, the concept of work, okay, so if you can follow your passion, you'll find you can make an income out of that and you can have fun along the way. So abundance becomes directly, connected with joy. And even if for whatever circumstances you find yourself in, you are doing, for instance, like a 9-to-5 job, and you might think, I don't have time to have fun, and I've got to put food on the table. Okay, well, if you can see the joy in what you're doing, you'll find that the work becomes more effortless. You'll find you attract more abundance, and you'll, along the way too, you'll start to explore new avenues in your reality. You'll start to attract more experiences into your reality, and you'll find you also have more abundance of time to do more maybe hobbies or other activities that sparks joy in you. So for me, the concept of fun is very much connected with abundance. So it's whatever you do, just find the frequency of love and go from there. And again, like you were saying, attachments, because sometimes if we're too attached to certain outcomes and control, it kind of stifles us from having the flow of joy in our lives, right? So engaging in joy is just being free, just following the bliss. Doesn't have to make sense, right? Like for me, I've got art supplies here. I haven't painted since I was in high school. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to double in some art, even though I haven't painted for like, who knows, over 20 years. Like, doesn't matter. I'm going to start painting. It doesn't have to make sense. Just follow the guidance, and it's just this whole concept that we've conditioned ourselves, like what's important in our lives and what's not important. And we put, okay, making money is important, taking care of the family is important. Yes, but fun is part of that. It's not separate from everything. It's a frequency of love. Joy is a frequency of love. It's one of the highest expressions of love. So, you don't have to feel guilty. I think we're also conditioned in a way that to focus a lot on fun and joy, sometimes we can be guilty of that, right? Because we're conditioned to, no, you can't have fun. You have to, you have to do your tasks, everything you have to do. And it's
right. You
yeah.
have to be serious. You have to take
Yes.
life seriously. It's so hard. You have to take it serious. And so I work with a lot of light workers, and the message from the other side is always like, Andrew, you can play video games. Andrew, you can go and kayak without your family. They will live for half an hour, 45 minutes without you. And he has so much guilt around telling his wife, hey, I just want to take 45 minutes and be alone, because she's with the children all day. But it's really there's a couple of things that happens. You're putting yourself as a priority, and that might feel really awkward in the beginning, especially for us light workers, because we're in service. 2, you're actually making a decision and choosing something for yourself and not for another. And that feels really awkward. And I just want to let you know, when I was starting to focus on fun, I didn't even know. I was just like, what do I even want? Like that was another thing, I was in the store and Spirit said, we want you to buy this candy bar. And it was a $3 candy bar. And they said, and we don't want you to share it. And I went, what do you mean you don't want me to share it? They're like, no, we don't want you to share it with Madeline. We want you to eat this entire candy bar by yourself. I couldn't do it. Kimberly and Max, I could not do it. I had to buy 2 candy bars, one for Madeline, one for me, and have the candy bar. And it wasn't about spending $3 on myself, because I could spend $3 on myself. It just felt so weird not to share. It felt so weird to be selfish and eating a candy bar. And like other people, they're like, oh, I could have done that. Like it was like nothing. So you have to start where you are. You have to start, where you are. And, Kimberly, I know you go hiking, and I'm glad you brought up that you bought art supplies, because having fun sometimes makes us feel like it's frivolous or silly, and that we should do something better with our time. And that's another limiting belief.
Yeah. You know what I've done? As a child, I learned knitting. So I started knitting again, 25 years after just stopping. And I know the basics, but I'm not in the mastery of it anyway. And I decided to make a pullover for me, right? So something like this, because you go from nothing to everything, right? That's obviously. And I said, well, my grandmother, in the other side, they'll tell me what to do. And so I visited my mother a couple of weeks ago, and she's a master knitter. She could, what she does could go into the biggest stuff in the world. She's a master in it. She does dresses and all of it, and
Wow.
It's perfection. So when I went to see her, I said, okay, I'll ask her to show me how she does things, because I was seeing that, right, some stuff was, so I asked her, and it was funny because she is not a passion person at all. And as a teacher, I will not really, at the worst enemy, wish them to have her as a teacher. She is a terrible teacher. And I say this by experience. But when I went there and I asked her to show me how she was doing it, and she showed me, it was, first of all, very funny, a lot of fun, and also a big liberation for me, because I was asking her to show me something where, as a child, I had the experience that I couldn't ask her anything because it would have badly for me, right? And so, right, in using these things, you're having fun, and suddenly you are working on, right, your trauma and your stuff that
Yeah.
is, right.
You're very sneaky. Sneaky how your inner being inspired you to go back to knitting. Very sneaky.
Right? And at the same moment, it's funny. It's fun to do it. It's fun, right? It becomes a hobby. It becomes something that you do, and you're having fun doing it, right? So yeah, things work in such ways, and suddenly you're having fun where you were absolutely not having fun before. It was a painful memory, a painful experience, and then you transform it in something else.
That's cool. So there's two things that I want to say to the team of physical entities. One, knitting, Max, I don't know if you know this, but knitting is a form of meditation. In fact, if you give knitting to Alzheimer's patients, they actually improve on their memory. So folks who are knitting, that is your form of meditation. And your inspiration, your interest, your curiosity, your enjoyment, when you're inspired, that is coming from your inner being, and that's for your highest good. And so I was teasing Max that it was sneaky because his inner being inspired him to knit, because it's always a multi-pronged experience, right? Dealing with your trauma with your mom, who was very critical, who wasn't a good teacher, to push past that fear. She's this renowned expert in knitting, right? And you were collaborating with her. You were working with her as an equal, even though your skill level wasn't equal to hers, but your worth has been raised.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. I see so many soul lessons in this little thing of trying to knit a pullover. It doesn't even matter, what you're knitting. You could have knitted a scarf or a baby sock, like who cares? But it was really encouraging you to believe in yourself and to see how far you've come. Like, that's a great, great example. And thank goodness you decided to start to knit.
Yes.
Kimberly, tell us about your painting. Have you started it? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I've got all the supplies. I've set up the outside space. It just was raining here recently, so I'm just waiting for the rains to stop and get everything set up. And I'm in the prep mode. So I'm receiving the guidance of what to do in regards to what I'll be painting. So it's very exciting. So I'm getting little messages. And that's another thing in relation to all this, is that sometimes with our passions, we're inspired to take maybe one step. And then all of a sudden, guess what happens? The inspiration stops or goes to another thing. And then we think, did we just waste time? Did we just do that for nothing? But no, because I found in my own experience, because that's how spirit works with me, they're basically what they do with me. They work very much in non-linear time. They get me to start a project, and then I'm like, oh, wow, I'm getting into the flow of this subject, engaging with it. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we want you to pause this. I want you to go now to another project. And so basically I have all these unfinished projects. So
I can relate.
And in our conditioned beliefs around, how we should, accomplish tasks, I guess, you might think, it's interesting. And I've got all these projects unfinished. And then, of course, when this all began to flow and as I was getting used to this process, of course, I was like, am I ever going to finish a project? What's going on with me? And then you start, and then I did have limiting beliefs around this concept. And I was like, and I started to think, is something wrong with me? Why can't I finish one project? Am I really procrastinating? And then with time, I got I was able to be more comfortable with it. And then I just allowed myself to flow even more with this process and just trust. And then over time, I got to see the magic in it. There was a reason why I started a project and I didn't finish a project and it's on pause, and I went to another project. And then when I eventually go back to that project, I can see why I needed to delve in the other projects first before I continue to another project. So it doesn't make sense like in a linear way, but now that's how spirit works with me for a number of years now, I'm kind of just okay with it now. And yeah, so and the whole thing about time, like that's been one of my beliefs I have been working on, and I'm a bit more fluid with that now. But you know, sometimes when we might feel like we've got so many things to do, right, and then we find ourselves kind of focusing on some subject, some project, we might think we're wasting time. Like you might think, okay, I've got all these tasks to do, I'm inspired to do this, yet I'm so focused on this little part of a project. Maybe I'm reading articles and I'm spending hours doing this one little thing, and we might go, hang on, I'm wasting all this time. And then, when this happened to me too, I used to be like, oh my God, I've wasted all this time on nothing. I've looked back on my day, like, what have I done today? All I've done is looked at one subject all day, and I've just looked at articles or this. And I'm like, and then, I don't know, like this happens to all of us, right? But then, in the coming days, I can see how I had to do this. There's little clues in that for me, and how every piece of the puzzle perfectly came together. And then, so it's like, you just have to trust the process. You just literally follow the inspiration and the guidance. There is a divine time in all things, and what might appear to be time wasting, or you focusing on the subject doesn't seem like related or important to what you're, even what you're inspired to do, you might think, why am I focused on this? It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm doing. But if you just allow the process and just surrender to the universe, follow what you're guided to do, you'll see that everything does come together. And yes, it sometimes can be challenging because we want to control like what we do and how things should flow and how things should manifest. And it's part of the human condition, right? So we just have to kind of let go of control and allow it to just, flow to us in the most magical ways. And it's, it involves a lot of surrender. But most importantly, you just have to follow what you're guided to do and just constantly practice letting go of attachments of what things should look like, how things should flow, and just do whatever you're inspired to do in the moment. Doesn't have to make sense, right? It's just go with that, just go with the flow. And the more you do that, the more the universe will provide you with the next step, with more inspiration. And you'll find it when you do this process that, as well as we're balancing, the divine feminine, masculine energies within us, we might be guided to, explore new passions, reactivate new ways, because maybe we had unbalance in our life before, and that's a whole nother thing as well. Like we might have been focusing on work, for instance. So, okay, we have all these passions on work, but that's where our inspiration was. But now, because we're shifting consciousness, you might now have more desire to maybe have balance in your relationships or another area of your life. So as we shift in our consciousness, your passions may change. So it's just allowing that process to come to you, and not think because one area of your life is more important than the other life, because they're all intertwined. So it's about just, constantly just practicing letting go of attachments and just following, with your heart, wherever spirit guides you to go.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm going to introduce Summer. Summer, I just want to make this one point. When you were reading an article all day long, you were curious. You were in a stance of curiosity and interest, and that is in the frequency of fun. So fun, again, has variations in the frequencies. Interest and curiosity is part of the joy, fun family of crayons. All right, Summer, I'm so glad you came. Hello, Summer. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
So, Summer, we're talking about fun and why humans do not put fun as a priority. Do you have any commentary around this subject?
Oh, yeah, totally. The first thing I would say is none of you guys are having enough fun even on this call right now. But I think that's a staple for like what everybody lives their life like. Look, it's very simple from my perspective. If you want to break it down, this has to do with awareness. Everybody all day long is having fun. That's what everybody does all day long. Your work is your version of like how you define what fun is. Because as spirit, that's really closer to the understanding of how you thrive and what you are. Like all you do is have fun. Like when you see people who are very serious about things, who are very responsible, that's like their fun. That's like their game that they're playing. It's like their video game, so to speak. And that's what people commit to in their lives. So really, you just want to become aware of how you're having fun. Because I know from experience, like I've been involved in theater. It's so much fun being in like a car crash or like being in a bad relationship or having like, you know, nightmarish like enemies attack you and you have to stand up against them and fight. It's so much fun. Like that's just fun. That's like the human fun. That's how we have fun. Eventually, how things will go is we'll run out of the lie that we're telling ourselves in order, again, to have fun. And we'll just start alchemizing it back into its natural form. And it will look like what it actually has been the whole time. It's all just been spirit just having fun in reality. This is just how it is. Like when you see people in the movies, you don't see the actors, you see the character. That's what you go to see. You go to have fun in like drama. And that's exactly what all of this is. Like every last second of your life, every little nuance of pain and suffering, it's all part of the fun. It doesn't, like, the only reason you experience pain and suffering or the opposite of fun is because there is fun to contextualize it. That's how it actually works. It's the only reason why you know you're suffering at all is because some part of you is still having fun. Some part of you is so in love with the experience that you're having, you can't help but like commit to something so terrible and unhappy in your life or boring or, you know, unengaging or whatnot. That's the reason you do it, because on some level, it isn't like that. Like on a deep, deep level, there's some part of you that can't help but fall in love with that. And it's like the same thing if you look at like having children. You can never really be, I will not just say this about children, but I will say this about everything. You will never be as responsible about anything as when you're having fun. Because when you're really in love with having fun, it forces you structurally to be responsible to that fun, much like having a child. You don't do it to practice responsibility. You do it because that person is like the jewel to you. They're the reminder of everything you love about life. And so you work all the way around them to make sure you protect that. But that is you. They're just like a mirror to you and what you forgot about yourself. So when that person has served their purpose in this life, usually they will disappear. Usually they will exit in some way, and then the focus becomes about you anyways. You, in many senses, seem to become left alone in your story. You end up losing friends, jobs, like whatever. It seems to be catastrophe, but the point is to put it back in the focus of you, selfishly, for you to be the most important thing. That's where it's at. And it is literally the highest thing, just like most of the highest spiritual truths, they're utterly silly. It's all about just enjoyment and having fun. It's the practice of everything. And if you think you're not doing that by being responsible, yes, you are. You are. You just don't realize that that's what you're doing. Like every aspect of it, if you really, really trace it down, it's all about your own selfish motives and fun anyways. It's just when you start acting on that, all your body, your mind, your practices, your responsibilities, they all start to flush out. And ironically, you end up looking like you're more responsible than anyone else. You end up looking more enlightened, but it's utterly selfish. That's the thing. That's the only thing that's actually going to flush you out. Like if you're not really being yourself for yourself, there's no one on the planet who can be responsible for that other than you. So if everyone sort of, you know, embraces that in themselves, like all the pieces will fit and it will just be what it actually is is like ecstasy. That's like actually the natural form. It's just when you overdo it, you can't see it. And that's when it becomes slow and a drag and not fun. It's like you want to like almost like let go of those like responsibilities because you are responsible. It's just an awareness of like that you are. And then when you do that, your whole motive becomes like, okay, where do I find the path of absolutely no resistance? What you would define as fun. It should feel joy. It should feel love because that's what you are. You are that. You are the ecstasy point. So anytime you go towards that, you're just being in the space where there's nothing there but you. Anything else is too much of other things that have nothing to do with you. So when you're in that slipstream, that's where everything just like, you know, organizes itself perfectly. And you're like instantly, you can even like, I mean, if you really think about this, this is how bilocation actually works. It's like the point of absolute fun. Like that's how it works. That's the translation point for everything. That's where all the money is. That's where all the health is. That's where all the success is. That's where all the knowledge is. And anything that doesn't feel like that is not something you need to be involved in any way. You just think you are because we're slow and backwards and insane as a species. So that's all I have to say.
We're insane as a species. I love it. Oh, Summer, that is great. Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful perspective that it really is about awareness. And right, and awareness is being present in the now moment, because there's only the now moment anyways. But yeah, and I love the slipstream. I love how you said that. And by location, I love that. That was fun, Summer.
It's the point though. I mean, like I find this from experience too, that when you selfishly pursue whatever you really want, like even if it seems like it's like an addiction or something like that, like something self-destructive or negative or irresponsible, there's always some truth behind it, something that actually is part of the highest thing. Like anyone who steals, like what they're after is something that is natural to like the highest expression of who you are. Like anyone who commits like a crime or something like that, it's just an imbalance of energies, but there is some truth to that feeling of like empowerment or like resolution or, you know, completion of some kind, right? There's always, it's just it's our misinterpretation of the reality that we're aware of intuitively, all of us, every single day. So when you have like the highest point of fun, you know, like you will know, like you will feel calmed, you will feel relaxed, but you will also feel excited. You will also feel like in love. You will feel the most positive feelings endlessly. And I think the reason why we don't have that is because collectively we live in the opposite. We live in fear, which you could say is actually overdoing fun. It's like, in a sense, it's like too much fun. So when you take some away, that's when you start to see it. And it seems like there's more fun, like as if you achieved something. But it's not actually like that. It's just, you've just lessened the fun, so to speak. Like the ego has a place, but it's like overdoing it. So when you lessen it, that's when there's more of what the ego is always seeking. There's more of like the power and the fun and the like, I am a god, and it's because you are. That's how you feel when you're in love. Like that's you knowing yourself. That's the translation of divinity, physically speaking. But when you overdo it, when it's out of balance in some sense, it's no longer fun, and you don't really have the recognition of what you are. Like this stuff is like free. It's absolutely free if you were to like recognize it. Anything you're working for, so to speak, is like you just kind of covering up what actually is ever present at every moment in your life. And that's the reality of it. Like you look towards children, if that was not interrupted so much, they would teach us how to reconnect with ourselves and where things need to go generally. All they need is some level of support for what it is they're doing. And they will help organize themselves in a way that will help us organize ourselves back into our like natural expression, into a holistic, natural, effortless, you know, process or whatever you want to call it in life, where we're just like living effortlessly. I know there's been times where people might have thought that this was boring, but I remember when I first woke up, there was probably 2 or 3 years that went by like that. Like I felt like I just ate them like in what felt like maybe a month or two. It was like 2 or 3 years were just gone because it was like I was always in that, like the center point of my own existence. And it was like, just like, you just always feel like so good. Like, and it's just like everything. I mean, if you give yourself the space and time to actually see yourself, everything just unlocks all around you. And then it's just like, oh, and it literally is like an oh moment. It's a 0 point moment. It's like so simple. Like it's just how it is. And then when you do that, it's like, honestly, fun just became the only thing really to do. It's like the bloom of the flower. It seems utterly pointless, except it's the whole point to begin with, right? Like all the work and the stem and the groundwork and everything that's so serious is all part of that like flighty, ridiculous, colorful nonsense that grows on the top of it, which is the whole point. It's the whole bloom, the fruit of itself. That's like the meaning of why we're here. Not to go back to spirit, but to experience yourself in physical reality, like the video game or like the movie or something, and just enjoy every single second for what it is, because that's how it is. I've talked long enough.
I love it. I love it. I think it's great. Max or Kimberly, you want to jump in with any point of this awareness of fun and 0 point? I love the bloom analogy. That's so awesome.
Yeah, no, Summer, that's awesome what you said. And yeah, the 0 point, it's who we are. We can't, well, the reason why we're here, right, is to have a human experience. So at the foundation of why we're here is to have fun. It might not seem like we're having fun all the time. Life seems to be serious, but we are explorers. We are so highly advanced, we just have forgotten it. So we become more serious because we experience certain situations as challenging, as something maybe that's not aligned to our passions. We have fears and attachments, and that creates this idea of, and this perception of us not having fun, or we're having to work and work is not fun. And it's all different ideas of our reality that are formed in our experience. But if we were to know that we were highly advanced, that we have all the inner technologies within us to manage every obstacle, if we were to know who we truly are, we would have a different perspective on life. We would think these little challenges would be like, oh, wow, it's like a fun little challenge. And, you'll be able to see life as a game, because it is a game. It's a master game here. We just don't see it as a game because we experience it as hard at times, right? But if we were to see life from the high perspective of who we are and, why we're here, we would be able to see it as a game. And if you can start seeing reality as a game, you'll be able to let go more of those attachments of the seriousness and be able to enjoy it more, right? Because it is a game. You might think, okay, how can it be a game when, you might have experienced, maybe some traumatic experiences in your life or some circumstances, and you might ask, how could that be fun? Why would I want to explore that? But it's just that we choose certain scenarios in our life to explore to assist in our evolution. We choose things not from a human perspective, but from a higher perspective. And when things seem hard, that's when we perceive it to be not fun. So understand that things are supposed to challenge us because it activates us, it triggers us, it allows us to go within, to ask the existential questions, to discover more about who we are, to discover how strong we really are, to discover how strong we really are. So it's about also changing our perceptions of reality itself. And it's okay if things don't occur in the way you wish they did, because it's all part of the divine game here, part of the divine plan here. So again, if we're attached to certain outcomes, that also can affect our perception of fun, because we're like, no, it has to be this way. If it doesn't go this way, no, it's not fun anymore, right? So if we can just allow the universe to move through us, to see the beauty in everything, there is a divine plan in all. The let going of attachments allows you to flow more of this vibrational fun. And you can have fun in stillness. You can be in a state of bliss by just you staring at a blank wall. You can be have fun in that moment. And you ask why? It's because of our attachments to what fun should be that creates an experience of fun within us. So fun at the highest expression is joy, is love. Love is who we truly are. It's our innate state of being. Bliss is our innate state of being. So you can do absolutely nothing and be in a point of bliss. Yes, it is possible. It's about centering ourselves, going within the heart, opening your heart. Now, if you're having challenges and seeing and feeling love, feeling passion, allowing your heart to guide you, then practice opening your heart. If you're having trouble of being in alignment with fun, maybe you could be exploring your reality, through the lens of control, through the lens of the ego mind. Bring it into the heart. Feel your reality. If you can navigate your reality through the heart, you'll be able to tap deeper into the energies of the heart. You'll be able to see the oneness in all things. So practice gratitude. Gratitude helps to open the heart and allows you to receive. Can you see the beauty and the gratitude in everything in your reality? Can you be thankful for every experience, even the difficult ones? If you can do that, that also allows you to detach from the outcomes and to see the beauty in everything. And that also allows you to see more, joy in your reality. So it does take practice as well, because joy is who we really are. And yes, behind all of it, it's for our evolution. It's just because of our human attachments, we don't see fun. We cannot see how everything is happening for us. So it's, aligning to your heart, feeling your way through reality. Understand that, again, with the whole concept of selfishness, if you do so from a point of love and oneness, you know that every action that you take, you can't hurt another because all others are you. So it's about coming from that place of seeing the oneness in all. So if in terms of another person, can you see yourself in that other person? So from a point of love, from a point of inspiration, if you can be aligned to love and you're inspired to take an action, you know that it can never be selfish. You know that it will not harm anyone because you know it's happening for the highest good of all involved. And yes, sometimes certain actions when you're inspired may trigger other people in fear, but it's also for their highest good. So in that way, you can let go of attachments and you can let go of the whole seriousness and start to see the beauty and the joy in all things. And it's love. Self-love is the most important love that is. But when you're in self-love, you can then extend that love and see the love in all things, in all beings. So it's just an exploration of love at its highest frequency, bliss. Joy is bliss. So just go explore and continue to let go of those attachments and just go where your heart takes you.
Thank you, Kimberly. I think another good practice is, I agree with Summer that everything is a play, like we're in the drama, and our fear is fun. And there's an aspect, because we're multidimensional, and there's an aspect of us just enjoying everything tremendously. And it's our awareness and our perception. And I think also examining people coming into your physical reality and seeing them as aspects of you, and self-care, self-love. There's a lot that you said, Kimberly, in that, heart-centered. And so there's many approaches to bring your awareness to having fun, to having joy, to enjoy life. When Kimberly said you can be blissed out staring at a wall, that is really true. And that's also tuning into your frequency. It's tuning into you. It's understanding that everything is for you. It's understanding that it's acceptance. It's taking a stance of curiosity. It's being interested in life. It's being interested in who you are. You know, there's just a lot that you can explore to bring in more fun in your life. And I think practically, to be honest with you, I'm always being counseled on the other side, like what's fun to me, and bringing my awareness of what's fun in this moment. What are you curious about? What are you interested in? What would you like to do, Isabelle? Instead of me saying, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z, or I have to do something in order to please somebody else. They're like helping me not be such a people pleaser, helping me refocus on my energy, on my desires, which is counterintuitive, because I'll tell you what, I don't know about your experience here on Earth. It's all about, you know, making sure nobody's triggered, making sure no one's in fear, following rules, being something you're not standing out, not being different. You know, it's that's what it seemed like to me. But in actuality, it's fun to discover who you truly are anyways, other aspects. So having fun, I think we said a lot in this video here that they can unpack. And if there's any questions out there, this is the time to ask the panel if you wish, or if you guys want to add something else around awareness and fun. No? Okay.
There's no questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to add something. It's around control. I've realized, and I'm getting really good in realizing it when I'm trying to control manifestation, control reality, control everything, and which goes against the flow of reality, the flow of creation, right? It happens anyway, but the human is doing what? The human, it has been told you have to be controlling everything, because if you're not in control, things happen that you don't want to happen, or things goes in badly, right? And now I realize that, first of all, I don't need to do it. No one needs to do that, because we're not in control anyway. And the more you try to control reality, the more you fail at it. You cannot control reality. And so the fun and the joy are not there when you want to control everything, because you are resisting reality, right? That's the key thing. Reality, our reality is creating from resistance, is a energy against energy, and that's what creates human. It's resistance. There is the natural, let's say the natural resistance, which is creating our reality, and then there is our resistance to reality, which is us going against that, which is then what? It's us not accepting human. I'm against human, not happy to be human. I will be anything else, but not human, because, well, human is not doing what I want to do. So I try to manage it. It's not working. So, oh, I'm not happy with that. I'm not having fun as human. It's a perception, but that's the resistance, right? And you can see the resistance against reality. In this moment, there is a lot of resistance against mask, against vaccination, resistance against, I don't know, having fun, right? Just the think of saying I'm having fun. I cannot say I'm having fun, because if I say I'm having fun, maybe I'm really having fun. Maybe I'm really happy to be human. And so I will resist it. I don't know, right? It's all of that, and suddenly you just say, oh, I'm seeing all of this, and for me now it is when I go into trying to have things my way. Well, I just said, okay, let go. No, no, that's not the right way to have it. It's not going to happen that way. So let go. My husband is doing something, and I say, oh my goodness, it's gonna crash. It's gonna have an accident. And I say, oh, I'm trying to manage it. No, he has it. I'm not needed to make it right. It's gonna be right anyway. So all these little things that are little resistances or just trying to manage it, and you let go of that, and then you just wait 1 minute, some seconds, even just the next moment, and you realize, well, I was not needed because what I wanted to manage didn't happen. It's just immediate, right? It's just instantly you realize how, right, the controlling and the resistance are there. And then when you choose not to do it, that just instantly, okay, that was the right decision.
That's a really good practical practice, you know? So when you find yourself wanting to control an outcome or to change something, just wait a minute. That's a really good practice. And that's trusting the universe, and that's trusting your inner being. That's a lot. That's hard, but it's absolutely, you're absolutely right. It's bringing awareness. Again, it's bringing awareness to your frequency and vibration and, you know, where you are.
Everything is literally really taken care of, right? And you can have proofs of that every day, every moment, if just you allow it. It's literally, it's there all the time. And
I know, and
it's
I get
hard,
it, Matt.
right?
It is hard
it's
because
hard.
I know Kimberly can relate to this. You know, she channeled Abuntia. Wait, how do you say it, Kimberly? Abuntia?
Abundantia.
Abundantia.
Yeah.
So, which was great, by the way. You should check it out on, is it Beings of Light or is it Kimberley Leite now on YouTube?
Yeah, no, my YouTube channel, it's still Beings of the Light, live, type in Beings of Light YouTube, but like go on my website, beingsofthelight.com. You'll find the links there anyway. But yeah. It's out there on podcast and YouTube. You can watch a session. All about abundance, guys.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. And so Max saying, you know, just let go and that everything is working out perfectly. And Kimberly and I, we were discussing, you know, the next steps and what do we do for like abundance, and do we take action, not take action, even though everything is working out perfectly, that we're completely supported. But when you're in a wobble, you want to control it, you know? And really, I think what I'm being mentored from the other side is looking for synchronicities, to not look for cause and effect. So cause and effects for abundance would be, I have a job and that's how I receive my abundance. I have a job that the effect is abundance, cause and effect. And right now, I'm really being mentored on synchronicities. What is the highest thing? It could be having a job, but it could be having a job for a week or a month or a year or a day, not being tied to a career, not being tied to anything. It's being in the flow. It's like Summer said, the slipstream. It's being wherever you are, and just going with it. Because when a job comes to you and say, hey, you know, we need extra help, can you hop in? And it's easy, well, then that's where you're meant to be. But if you're efforting and struggling, you know, it's weird, but it really is, you know, I think navigating reality and working with the divine, even though we are divine and having a human experience, I think it's being aware, and it's looking for the signs and the synchronicities. And that's fun. That is another form of fun. Like when I had to decide to buy a new car or not buy a new car, I went with synchronicities because it was so overwhelming. The ego mind said, oh my gosh, can you afford this? This is really good. You just left your job, blah, 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 blah. You know, and I went with fun, and it's fine. So.
And like with the whole abundance thing, at times reason why we might not have fun, feel like we're having fun, is because we perceive lack of abundance. So because we perceive lack of abundance is wrong, and this perception of wrongness, that's when we don't feel like we're having fun. But, you know, if we can see the perfection in even not having abundance, so most of us are conditioned that if you don't have the abundance, or we've manifested abundance, maybe we failed and something wrong in that, and then that pinches us off from the flow of the universe. So if we can see that maybe we're not supposed to have the amount of abundance that we seek, because it's allowing us to explore certain avenues we couldn't explore before if we had that about abundance. Like for instance, if we had $1 million right now, we probably wouldn't do a lot of inspired activities, because what's the point? I have $1 million, I don't have to do anything. So sometimes out of this being catalyzed, right, in relation to abundance, it can birth new passions, and maybe you wouldn't explore that passion if you had the $1 million. So, and it's kind of counterintuitive, right? We think, oh, if we had the $1 million, we'd have more fun. No, it's not. It's the opposite. And we've been so trained, right, that we needed to have those conditions to have fun. So it's about really seeing, no matter what circumstance you find yourself in, even if you might perceive lack of financial abundance, and of course financial abundance is one aspect, because if you can retrain your brain to see, you know, the abundance that you have, maybe you don't feel like you have abundance of money, but you have abundance of air to breathe, maybe you have abundance of health, abundance of food, like this, you always have abundance, right? But if whatever you perceive as lack, if you can see that that is also beautiful, and that there's a reason why you might not have that, you know, that lack, and if you can see the fun in that, if you can be curious that there's a reason for that, it's allowing you to explore and have certain experiences because of that perception of lack. So it's kind of like changing our perspectives to the perception of lack. And then in that moment, if you can let go of that, you start to naturally have more fun, because you start to be more curious, start to see reality as a game, which it is. And then you just surrender to it, and you're like, yep, okay, I'm supposed to have this human experience of lack.
Yeah, that's what Summer was saying earlier about the trauma, like the car accident. Like, oh my God, I have only $1 to my name. How will Isabelle Zimmerman eat tomorrow? Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, it does feel like that. It's like, look, nobody really wants $1 million, right? Like, what are you gonna do? Sit in a pile of like money or something? That's not what you want. You want what the $1 million buy, right? But as you are a physical being right now, there's like always a more succinct path to getting that. If you think you got to get the $1 million, then you got to take it to the bank, you got to invest it, and then you got to go around to get all this stuff, and then you got to go buy your clothes and blah, 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 just so you can sit in a place and be like, oh, finally, I'm relaxed. Maybe what you want to bring your own attention to is that you can just sit and be relaxed without needing like $1 million or anything like that to feel like you're $1 million, because you're worth way, way, way more than that if you actually believe that you will live like that and discover the reality of it, which might make you feel a little psychotic, but it's the reality of it because that's not the way we live. But yeah, it's never the $1 million that you want. It's like a lot of what you guys are saying about like abundance. It's like you're always abundant in something. It's just like how you sit in that abundance is like your, again, awareness of it. It's just the awareness of it. And so that's why like people like saints or Buddhas or whatnot, they can have everything while still being essentially poor in many senses from our perspective. But that's because we have a poor mindset about what that experience actually is. And that's just like, no one can really teach you but yourself to like actually appreciate who and what you are right now, because you are fun. If you let yourself have yourself and be yourself.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and when you have the $1 million to buy something and you buy something and then you don't have the $1 million, but you have the something you wanted to buy and you are still not happy and you want another $1 million because you think, oh, I could buy something else. So it's never satisfying anything, right?
Because it's always in. It's always in. It's your feeling comes from inside. Your reality is created from your inner world. So yeah, you're absolutely right. What a fun game.
This conversation is like helping me realize something too in my life. It's like, I think now, after having all the experiences that I have, that much of the journey of life is a circle to get back to where you were to begin with. And that whole experience, that whole journey is like why, like in many senses, you're not enlightened. It's like you're kind of like chasing enlightenment instead of having it. And that's like that's the whole difference. It's like if you just
like the $1 million. Yeah.
If you just have it, yeah. It's like, okay, let me ask you this. Let's say security is why you want that $1 million, right? You could say having, whatever the highest security that you could possibly buy with $1 million. How much is that in comparison to being secure without having $1 million? Like, what would you define as having more value? Would you define like you being secure with yourself no matter what you were in, like what situation you're in, or you getting the $1 million to like be secure? Like, it's just, I mean, maybe you have like your own best interests at heart to begin with, and that's the superstructure of your life that you can't fight. So the more you let go of like trying to make it happen, it just happens. And that's the whole key behind everything. And then you realize you have more and more energy, which is more and more of yourself, to realize more and more and more all the way back up to yourself and go, oh, like again, a 0 point moment, right? Like, and that's how it is. It's like, it's so, my own experience, I would say again and again and again, it's simpler than your simplest concept of simple. It's like whatever you think is simple, it's simpler than that. It's simpler than trying to have a conversation about it. It's like, that's too much work. Like even just trying to like read about it, it's too much work. It's like, it's simpler than that. It's more like efficient than that. It's more succinct than that. It's more like you're already late for it in many senses. Like you're holding back from it. You're working hard against it to try to get it. Like it's all backwards in many senses. And most of the time you will just fail into the success that you're trying to succeed at. And that's how that will be a revelation to many people, I would imagine, in their lives, because it's not exactly the way people are living right now. It's not the way we've structured like the economy or like, our infrastructure on the planet. Like none of all that stuff is built out of that separation. And when you finally just let yourself have yourself, you start going, oh, and then it starts to become clear.
I was thinking when you were saying you have the $1 million to have security, the biggest security, and I was thinking, yeah, I have $1 million. I put it in the bank. The bank is Lehman Brothers. Oh, it failed, bankruptcy. I don't have $1 million anymore, no security anymore for one moment to the other moment. Oh, right? It's that think of imagining that you can have security and then there is something happening and that's gone. It's like all these things that humans do, like in sport and achievements, and and they say, oh, no one will ever be greater of this, it's impossible to do better, and then just in the same generation or the next generation they're doing better. Like I'm thinking in tennis, this generation in tennis that is getting older now, but they achieved so much and they were saying, oh, no one can do better, and they are already doing better. And you realize that in fact, as soon as someone does something, they are pushing the rest of humanity to even do it better, right? It's always that we think that, this is the end of it, no one can do better, and then you realize, oh yes, just it's just we put so much into this kind of things, and then in fact they last what they last, right?
That's right, because we're always expanding, we're always growing, we're always expanding, and that's the design of the system. And Summer, I loved your question that you asked, and the value for me is feeling safe and secure no matter what, because now I'm not chasing something physical or feeling. Now I'm creating that feeling within myself, and I can take it wherever I go. And that to me is more valuable.
It's all the value comes from you.
That's
like
right.
Anything that you think you're experiencing externally, that's not what it is. Like, you're always experiencing yourself. Even like one of the most principal experiences I have for reflection in my life is a relationship, like an intimate relationship. Because when you get together with that ideal person, you think you're experiencing the other person, right? But that's just because of the polarity we're in. But like, if we were clear about it, you're literally being selfish. Like, that's what the relationships all are. It's all about you. It's, in a sense, it's like not really about the other person at all. Like, both people get into it for themselves and they play this game about it being selflessness or something. And it's not, like, structurally, that's not actually what's going on. Like, that's not it at all. It's just that when you have compatibility, when your male fits that female in all ways, like in terms of like your own desires, your own passions, your own dreams, what makes you come alive in life, like that, like when they're compatible, when they're complementary opposites, that's when you are most allowed to be completely who you are. And that's the highest enjoyment anyone can experience in a relationship. You want to be that. Everything in your being, from the deepest to like the broadest, wants to be you. Everything you crave is to be yourself. And there's nothing higher in terms of enjoyment that you can have than to be completely who you are. That's the meaning of enlightenment, but it's also the meaning behind success or health or whatever level you want to look at it at. Like, anywhere you look for something, you're looking to just be, to be allowed to just be who you are. That's what everyone wants. Just not to be like this or to be this better, just to be you. Just you, the most you that you can be is everything. It's the answer to everything. And it's simple, like I said. All this stuff is very, very simple.
Yeah. And, it is in the unknown where we discover just how powerful we are. The sense of security, we try to control our reality, whether it's abundance, whether it's other conditions in our reality. We place conditions around ourselves because of how we perceive our level of self-worth. Why? We think, we can only reach to here. I think I'm only capable of this, so I'm going to plan and control my reality to reach here, right? And we're limiting ourselves. And we're limiting, how much the universe can flow through us, right? Because we put a bar on ourselves. So if we let go of the attachments and step into the unknown, we we kind of let go of that bar and we explore new realms of existence that, yes, they might challenge us, and yes, they might be very scary to us, but it's in those moments where we actually completely surrender to the universe, and that is where the magic is. That's where we have the greatest shifts in the unknown. But for most of us, we're scared to be in the unknown, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know, you know what I mean? Like, because we're so conditioned that we want to like make ourselves be safe in every single way. That's part of the human conditioning. So by you letting go of those attachments and you being comfortable with you just stepping out whenever you're guided to explore whatever you're guided to explore and just completely surrender, you have even more fun because you're just like, because you don't even know what's going to happen. You just have to be like, all right, whatever happens will happen, and you're more free to explore, and you start to see more of the beauty in your reality, and the universe will surprise you in new ways, and you get to learn more about yourself, what you know, just how capable you are. You start to discover more of your life purpose because you're literally just being guided by your heart, by the universe, and it's a different way of exploring reality, right? And it's sometimes it's more scary, but it's also more freeing and more liberating because there's no attachments. You're just going with the flow of life, and that's where the beauty is. And you just align more to joy because that's who you are. That's the universe. And then you just align more to abundance too in every single way. And abundance will be manifested in ways maybe you don't expect, but it's obviously part of your journey, the way you're supposed to explore it. So it's just, it's just letting go of those attachments and seeing the magic in all things as in your reality. That there are no accidents, that everything in your reality is exactly how it's supposed to be.
So true. Oh my gosh. Thank you, everyone. I had fun. Wink, wink. It's always fun to be with my friends, actually. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Until next time.